Greeting, family. Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. I'm your host, Emmanuel Barbee. If you are new to this channel or podcast, then please subscribe and share our content with your friends. This will help grow our audience. I provide a written transcript in the group with the same name on Facebook for those of you who don't speak English. I also cite all of my sources under Show and Prove section. You can find all my work under the About section on my YouTube channel, as well as on my Medium page. I use this platform to interact with everyone on my friends list and everyone in my social groups by giving Black business owners free airtime to promote their products and services. I give people in the faith community an opportunity to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, and ordinary law-abiding citizens an opportunity to share their special talents and skills to my listeners from the podcast community. After the show, I offer my guest speakers an incentive by teaching them how to create their own podcast and YouTube channel to help them earn extra revenue during COVID-19. I also assist people on my friends list with creating basic websites, finding college scholarships and grants, housing, and legal services, all for free. Our goal this year is to raise $500,000 for our film project, Hood Liberator Made in Chicago, The War Against Willie Lynch Begins. I would like to thank those of you who have donated to our film project. I encourage people from my friends list and people in my social groups who want to be a part of our film project to please send me your email address to my Facebook inbox. We will hold a private conference through Google meetings to discuss the best methods of reaching others via social media, people from their friends list, donors, and local businesses. Ghettos, Chicago, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Chicago's mission is to help eradicate urban violence in Chicago through our programs and services. Our objective is to build a bridge between the diaspora and continental Africans through art, culture, and commerce. Ghettos, Chicago will be in the business of creating docudramas, short films, theater, photography, fine arts, music, poetry, literature, sculpture, dance, and spiritual development for inner city youth and their families. Once this virus is cleaned up, we plan on launching African tours in order for us to move from behind a computer and make a real connection with our global Black family on the continent, starting in South Africa. I created GRCAM, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement, because I got tired of all of the division among Black people. I created GRCAM in 1991 on a site called Gopher. I wanted to create an organization and focus specifically on solving Black issues in America. I wanted to connect with other like-minded African Americans, Afro-Brazilians, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Europeans, African immigrants, and Afro-Latinos throughout the African diaspora. This is a podcast where we talk about solving Black issues / African issues using a spiritual perspective as it pertains to the great awakening of our people that has been prophesied. Our objective is to get our film project fully funded and made and play it by ear during COVID-19. Once this virus is cleaned up, then we will shoot our film and promote our film in selected movie theaters and sell our DVDs. Together we will put GRCAM on the map and turn my vision of Black America into reality. In 2021 and beyond, the Grassroots Community Activist Movement will be promoting a policy of global Black unity, ownership, and community support. Our objective is to be in a place where we own everything we consume and we support one another. We're reaching out to our group members and listeners and would like to encourage them to support our film project, Hood Liberator Made in Chicago, The War Against Willie Lynch Begins, in 3 ways. 1, through our virtual store, GRCAM merchandise such as a COVID face mask, coffee mugs, posters, handbags, and t-shirts. All proceeds will go towards our film project. 2, through our nonprofit organization, Grecaio Chicago. PayPal page. Donations can be used as a tax write-off because this is a legitimate 501c3. All donations are deductible to the full extent of the law. 3, you can support us by purchasing my revised book on Amazon through my author page. Keep in mind, community support is where we have to go, and please understand when you're supporting our YouTube channel or our podcast, you're supporting an independent Black network which will eventually employ Black people in our films, stage plays, and in our actual business. I need African entrepreneurs, especially in South Africa, to come on the show and promote your businesses and ministries to the diaspora and vice versa. Instruction to participate on the show. Once I am done with my presentation, I will open up the virtual phone lines. First, watch my Facebook Live video called Side A. After I finish with my presentation, then I will open up the virtual phone lines. Just click on the phone icon to interact with me in real time through Facebook Messenger as a voice call for Q&A, which will be called Side B. With that being said, tonight's segment is entitled Exposing Understanding Biological Warfare, Media Propaganda, and Organizing the Global Black Family. We're going to touch on several issues on tonight's podcast. Please put this video podcast on blast by sharing it with all of your friends on social media. Thanks. Let's begin with understanding biological warfare. In the 1960s, Black men were standing up for the Black community, fighting against white supremacy while putting their lives on the line. This became a problem for the financial elites and their social order. The financial elites decided to divide the Black community by allowing the Black middle class professionals to integrate into their neighborhoods. Then they began integrating the public schools while prescribing behavioral drugs to Black children. They also began flooding the Black ghettos with street drugs, guns, and liquor stores. I discussed that also in my revised book, but yeah, that's how it was. I found an interesting video by Dr. Mumba about a mad scientist who had a racist hidden agenda, which was to infect South Africans with AIDS as a way to annihilate the Black population. In West Africa, Liberia, a few years ago, the Ebola outbreak happened. Black people have been living in Africa for thousands of years. They did not have such disease until the arrival of Europeans. Don't take my word for it. We are in the information age. Do the research. America has a patent on the Ebola vaccine. What's going on with COVID-19? The new laws and regulations that these politicians are implementing boils down to money. For example, if a person travels to another country, they have to take the COVID test, and if they have the virus, they have to stay in a hotel for 14 days. For me, it seems that money is driving this whole agenda. My next topic, media propaganda. We're in the middle of a propaganda war. We need to educate ourselves about propaganda. I warned Black people that the mainstream media was going to increase their anti-Black propaganda to divide attention away from Black racism. Negroes who are on television and working for the mainstream media, these are people you should not listen to. You never see white entertainers speaking for white society. We're told if someone is on television, these people should be listened to because they have certain knowledge and that others don't have. When the mainstream media puts someone on television, they use the media to give that person some sort of legitimacy. These persons are chosen by the financial elites because they are willing to do anything to be in the in crowd. When they start this anti-black propaganda that black people are attacking Asians, I warn you that they are going to get these coon Negroes to cape for them. Black people have been patronizing Asian businesses for 50 years, but it has not been reciprocated. We gave them an economic base. I believe this propaganda was created by white supremacists, the Asian community, and the black bully class. This is a convenient way to completely take the focus off of anti-black targeting us. The political left wing were trying to blame Donald Trump for all the anti-black sentiment. This is why they spoke openly about racism and white supremacy, because they could point to the mega crowd. Now that Trump is gone and the Democrats have both the Senate and the House, now they are ready to change the subject. They created this propaganda that black people are attacking Asians. The mainstream media start using these random incidents of black people attacking Asian Americans in order to promote a new crime bill. You have these bought and paid for Negroes running around talking about stop Asian hate. The other day, there was a shooting in Atlanta. A suspected white supremacist went into a massage parlor and killed several Asian people. I knew the mainstream media was going to flip the story back to black people attacking Asians. Most of the attacks happening to Asian people is by white people, which is going unreported. According to Fox 2 News, Biden condemns anti-Asian hate after a call for passage of COVID-19 Hate Crime Act. This new crime bill is going to target us. According to the New York Post, Andrew Yang gets mixed reaction after calling for NYPD funding at a rally. They got this anti-black propaganda talking about black people are attacking Asians. At the same time, there have been a defund the police movement, and you got these politicians who are trying to get more funding to the police, and at the same time, they want to get more crime bills against black people. They're all working with each other to justify getting funds for the police and more crime bills to subjugate us. The Asian community are getting certain benefits and privileges based on proximity to whiteness. I have a video clip of an Asian woman admitting this. Listen to it.
Asian Americans have weaponized our proximity to whiteness in order to murder black people. George Floyd and Latasha Harlins shouldn't be here today, but they aren't because of our individual actions and our collective inaction. We can't just blame white people for pitting us against each other either, because the fact of the matter is that Asian cultures have a huge colorism problem and a huge problem with black people.
She's telling the truth. This is a person who's in the culture. There was an article on NBC talking about black people should be better allies to Asians because of all of the anti-Asian hatred. My question was, where were our allies when police officer Peter Lane killed a K.I. I believe this is how you pronounce his name, a K.I. Gurley. There was no allies. The Asian community supported Peter Yang. Where are all these allies when black women were being physically assaulted in Asian nail shops? Black people have to get out of this habit of caping for other groups. Black family, y'all can't co-sign anything that these white supremacists are sending your way. We have to be on code. We have to understand when they are trying to set us up, you cannot assist them in doing that. We're not responsible for the actions of one individual. The president is talking about hate crimes, resources, and executive orders for Asian people, yet we don't get anything for black people who have been harmed for years. You had a 9-year-old black girl who was pepper sprayed by a road cop. Nobody was punished. In Texas, a road cop shot indiscriminately at a car that a suspect jumped into. A 1-year-old was shot in the head and is barely surviving. We don't have time to be caping for everybody when we're out here being slaughtered. Through the grassroots community activist movement, we will confront and destroy this Willie Lynch mentality from black society. The financial elite's Trojan horse was Barack Obama. He has been delegitimized by the black grassroots. The strategy by the mainstream media is to whitewash black people's campaign against white supremacy by using a diversion, by attacking diversion. Blacks are attacking Asians. There is no equivalent of a George Zimmerman or a Latasha Harlins in all these decades. The talk show called The Real tried to discuss the issue of attacks against Asian Americans. We don't have a black hate crime task force. The mainstream media is trying to fabricate and orchestrate a false grievance that does not exist. Why? Because this is propaganda. Propaganda has nothing to do with reality. If you can get enough people to repeat the propaganda, that's all you need. The video from now this is the same video of a person pushing an elderly man on the ground. This is not happening across the country. When the mainstream media try to launch their propaganda, the new voices of black media will respond by doing a truth counter offensive. This is the time for us to start practicing group economics. We need to stop supporting Asian businesses across the board. I read an article from the Washington Post entitled, 83-year-old Asian woman spat on and punched so hard she blacked out. The Washington Post did not say anything when elderly black women were getting beat up by road cops. I'm just saying. According to Derek Hawkins, authorities in White Plains, New York, arrested a man who they said spat on and punched an 83-year-old Korean American woman on a busy street in the New York City subway this week, making the latest high-profile case in an increasing trend of violence targeting Asian Americans nationwide. The victim was walking alone near a shopping center Tuesday evening when police said his name, I believe, is Glenmore Nephart, 40, attacked her without provocation, striking her so hard that she hit her head on the ground and blacked out. When she regained consciousness, the man was gone, according to police. It wasn't immediately clear how investigators identified Nemhart as her assailant, but police said they arrested him early Thursday morning in the vicinity of the attack. He was charged with second-degree assault on a person 65 or older, a felony that carries up to 7 years in prison. Police described him as a homeless black man. And court records show he had been arrested by white plain officers on at least 4 other occasions in the past year. What I got from this article is that when white road cops kill a black person, that's not a hate crime. No one is giving the suspect a mental health evaluation. Just understand the difference between how we're treated in the criminal justice system. Family, an 83-year-old Asian woman being spat on and hit is a high-profile case. Meanwhile, black people have to sue media outlets just to get them to report about unarmed black people who have been killed by road cops. But in America, that's not enough to be a high-profile case. Notice in the article, nobody is saying we need more facts. Meanwhile, black people are being racially profiled, targeted, and shot down by road cops, yet that does not carry a felony. The problem is the prosecutors rarely treat it as a felony when it comes to us. Asians don't have to march in the streets to get a hate crime bill. Asian Americans all of a sudden getting all kinds of access and options that black people are not getting. For example, they have access to the district attorney's hate crime group. I am convinced that if this article was about black people, the Washington Post would not be reporting this the same way. I found another article by the Washington Post entitled, quote, "State Troopers Text About the Whooping They Gave a Black Man," unquote. I am not going to read the entire article. I provided on my transcript from my Medium page for more information. According to the article, shortly after 4 Louisiana state police troopers allegedly beat a black man who had surrendered following a high-speed chase, the officers of Troop F sent 14 text messages to brag about the whooping they had given a 29-year-old Antonio Harris, according to court files. He's going to be sore tomorrow for sure. Trooper Jacob Brown group texted his colleagues in May. The filings allege he's going to have nightmares for a long time. Trooper Dakota Demos allegedly said of what unfolded in Franklin Parish, Louisiana, warms my heart knowing we could educate that young man, Brown replied. The court filings from earlier this month, which were first reported by Sound Off Louisiana, comes weeks after 4 white officers were arrested on accusations of excessive force, lying about multiple arrests, and turning off their body cameras. Black people can't call the police about a hate crime because it's the police committing the hate crime. When you're black, it requires an act of Congress and the FBI because the state won't do anything. The police just sat there, turned off their cameras, and start beating on this man. They tell us this isn't a hate crime. These are state-funded road cops who are still not in prison. You have thousands of road cops who have track records of targeting and assaulting black people. I chose these articles because I want black people to understand that this is real. This is not a time for us to be divided. But the mainstream media is telling America we need to focus on Asians. All of these stories are coming out of California and New York. Black people are being shot in the back 7 times. The mainstream media believe they found a way to silence the discussion away from white supremacy. This is why your so-called left-wingers and right-wingers are united, because both wings are part of one bird. Black people have to file lawsuits in order for us to have an investigation of our claim. The Chinese are not putting out stories about what they are doing to black people in Africa and in China. It appears to me that the Chinese and mainstream media have gotten together to neutralize the discussion about reparations and police brutality. If you are black and attempt to circulate videos of black people being murdered by the police, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube will take your video down. Our last topic, organizing the global black family. We spend our productive years building up Western nations, yet complain about our social conditions in America, Europe, and Canada. Black America is slowly waking up from the American dream and thinking about building up our continent where we were stolen from, which is Africa. The diaspora is not tourists nor foreigners. We're displaced Africans. We did not choose to be enslaved. As members of the grassroots community activist movement, we want dual citizenship within 5 years in exchange for our talents and skills on the continent. The diaspora have started to contribute to Africa through reggae music, which song about the liberation of Africa. Through Ghettos, Chicago, we plan on bringing such skills as architects, economics, engineering, and sciences. Sad to say, many of our black middle-class professionals don't work to benefit Black America or Africa. What mainstream media have done was display a negative stereotype about Africa. They didn't tell us about the large amount of wealth Africa has. They only focus on the poverty and disease and all the criminality that takes place. Through Ghettos, Chicago, we plan on hosting African tours so that our brothers and sisters who have not been to Africa can enjoy the beauty of Africa has to offer. Those of us living in America is trying to fight for something that will never be ours. I am reaching out to the global black family. Black America has rejected my plan for 29 years. I don't have another 29 years to waste. I want to connect with serious African entrepreneurs who own hotels and owners of travel agencies. I only want to do business with legitimate business people. In my Christian business, corruption will not be tolerated. We want to start a manufacturing company. Why? Because manufacturing is a thing we need to help develop Africa and create jobs for African youth, which will help make the African economy grow. In the past, everything was built to improve Europe. Now it's up to the diaspora and the continental Africans to join forces with us to change that. We will start building our own industries, from the raw materials, for African people on the African continent. GRCAM will become Global Kemet in Africa, focusing on solving African issues. I want to reach the masses and help our people who live in rural areas as well as those that's in urban areas. If Africans put aside their differences and have reconciliations with themselves and stop all that tribalism, then the powers that be would not have a foothold in Africa. It's time for Africans to take control of our resources that God has given us. We will create our own economy, and if people want to trade with us, it has to be at market rate. GRCAM is coming to Africa. We will also trade with our brothers and sisters who are trapped in American ghettos to help improve the inner cities in America. The New Black Voices of Media is important because we will cover the stories that the mainstream media avoids. We will slowly grow. We are slowly growing as much as possible. It's great being on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. YouTube is a valuable platform, but at the end of the day, it's not our platform. They can say, we don't want you to talk about racism and white supremacy. I don't want to be in a position where social media can decide what I can and can't say. That's why I am trying to connect with Black people who are IT, information technologists, to help me build our own platform and app. The United States is one of the most violent places on the planet. We have the highest prison population. Black people are killed by road cops with impunity. If you look at the history of how it was formed, how can anyone be proud of how this land was acquired and the slave labor that built it? The systematic racism which still continues to this day. Black America is all about symbolism and having a so-called minority coalition. What are you fighting for in America? That's my question to Black Americans. Our community is being gentrified, and we only have a small grace period left before things will get even worse for Black Americans. For 17 years, I've been trying to teach my members about turning my ideas into a real Christian business, Rakai of Chicago. I'm trying to explain Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 11 through 16, Genesis chapter 15, verses 13 through 14, and Deuteronomy chapters 28, verse 68. The grassroots community activist movement will take the lead to first get our film fully funded and made so that we can do all the things which I have written in my revised book. So far, I have only raised $400. I'm asking every Black person on my friends list and in my social groups to please work with me and Sister Renee in raising $500K or $500,000 so that I can hire a professional film crew and quality actors to get my story on the big screen in order to reach the masses. Without Black support, I'm unable to do my job, and all I can do is pray and watch our children and people continue to be slaughtered in the streets of America. The proceeds from the film will allow me to hire Black middle-class professionals, buy office equipment, and purchase property in Chicago as well as in Africa. We will raise the bar in Black America as well as in Africa. We will move from behind a computer and make an impact in the Black community. We will connect the diaspora with continental Africans during our African tours. I will encourage my members to apply for dual citizenship with me in Africa. In time, I will turn over the business to responsible Black people within the business so that I can take my talents and skills to the continent. Since Black America has rejected my plan and vision for 29 years. My organization will be membership-based and private. Those who are not part of us, we will pray for them, show them tough love, and keep it focused. And that is to solve black issues, rather than sitting up here complaining about the government and complaining about, these politicians. We will only work with black families that want to utilize our programs and services. This is not business as usual. This is personal. Young people between the ages of 18 and 35, this organization is for you and your children's children. I am just the spiritual leader. Jesus/Yahshua gave me the vision, and I claim ownership. Gakam and Grakai is based on my experience. Our lives are threatened here in America. Black people are so quick to fight against each other. Where is that same fight against white supremacy? Black people have been taking our cultural cues from the same people who have enslaved us, the financial elites. We've been told that the strategy for undoing white supremacy has to be approved by white society. They told our grandparents the strategy should be nonviolence and pushing for integration. That hasn't worked. Every time we turn around, they're telling us what strategy we should use to dismantle white supremacy. The society that hoarding all the resources and have special privileges will not tell you how to destroy that same privilege they have. We as black people have to practice responsibility and maturity when it comes to our survival. Asian peoples are showing us how important it is to be on code and to have an economic base. We can't go along with this evil system full of lies and deception, which makes up white supremacy. We have to call that out. Black people worldwide, global black family, this is not a game for me. I'm not just sitting up here trying to, make videos and stuff for my health. Yes, I read my speeches because they're kind of long-winded and stuff, but it is what it is. I want to make sure that I get my message out. And I provide my transcripts so that way people could look at my sources. And also I do my podcast where you could just listen to it. So I do the videos, I do the podcast, and also I write out my speeches through my transcript. Just trying to reach other like-minded black people from around the globe that's listening to what I have to say. All I want you to do is purchase my revised book, Read My Story for Yourself. I have it available in 2 forms again. I have it available as an ebook for $9.99, and I also have it available as a softcover book for $15 plus shipping and handling. Read that book. Help me get that book on that bestsellers list. Most of all, I also have a virtual store. Purchase our items from there. That's another way how you can help. And also, donate to our PayPal page. This is the best that I can do. I laid down the roadmap, and I wrote the vision and made it plain. There's nothing more that I can do. Again, that's how come I always refer to Nehemiah. He did not build that wall of Jerusalem by himself. Now, again, once I start making money, everybody's going to want to be a part of this and stuff, but I want to make sure that we're going to have protocol in place. It's not going to work like that. This has been a thorn in my flesh for 29 years. I care about what's going on with our people. But again, there's a lot of our people that's that's full of Willie Lynch, so I can't reach those people. And some people, that's they embrace the N word, and they don't mind being that, and they don't mind being I would say not being liberated, having someone to be over them and stuff. That's on them. But the grassroots community activist movement is about real liberation. And so our fight is not really here in America. Our fight is for the continent, and I want to connect with our African brothers and sisters on the ground, not behind the computer. I want you to meet me, but the main thing is I want to get this business started here in America for credibility. So when I come to Africa, I don't have to spend time trying to introduce who I am and what I'm trying to do and all that stuff. We're going to replicate the same thing, what we do here in the inner cities. Again, we want to give young people an opportunity to reach their dreams. We ain't going to give them pipe dreams. We want to make sure that we work with them and help them accomplish their life goals, long as it's legal. And I want to make sure that our paperwork is on point. I want to make sure that we can oversee ourselves. Make sure that everybody's benefiting from this business, and most of all, I want to make sure that we can be productive in this organization. I'm not sitting up here trying to, be hog the limelight. I want to share that limelight. Again, I think all of the people that's in my social groups on Facebook, all of my social groups on the other social networks I used to be on, it was about 300. All of those social groups are wiped out. And that's what the devil wants. He don't want this to come to pass, and at least I still have access to these groups on Facebook. I have 14 different groups. I'm encouraging all of my group members to just please do your part. I can't do everything. I'm just one person. This is why it's taking so doggone long. But again, if you're serious about liberation, join the grassroots community activist movement. Those that's in the groups that's passive spectators, once this organization materializes, it's not going to matter to me. It doesn't count. It's just like you just was on my friends list, but not in the groups, because I only want to connect with those that's in my groups that's active, that's participating on the show, that's writing, comments, that's sharing my information, that's, reading my story, so that way I don't have to waste time trying to explain to you what's already written. So that's what this is all about. Okay, with that being said, I'm going to open up the phone lines, and technically there's no real number for you to call in. You're going to connect with me through Facebook Messenger as either a voice call or as a video call. But it will be recorded, so that way I can post it on my podcast. So the phone lines are now open. We could